Welcome to Supernormal, the webcast series designed by Procurious to give you superhuman skills as we adapt to the new normal. During COVID, we've tried to crowdsource confidence throughout the supply chain and procurement community. And I must say, you've done an amazing effort. Everyone's kicked so many goals, a gargantuan effort. So what we've done is collected some of the world's leading supply chain and procurement influencers and asked them, what superhuman skills do you think that the profession will need as we move into the new normal? Today, I'm absolutely delighted to introduce one of my most favourite procurement influencers in the world, Marcell Vollmer, who is a partner at BCG and who has been, a friend of mine really as we move around the world talking and meeting all our amazing community. So up until this year, really, Marcell and I were probably meeting nearly every quarter in different parts of the world at different events. So it's really great to be able to connect with you today, Marcell, and to share with our community how they can define and drive innovation, which is your supernormal skill that you think we need to develop. So thank you, Marcell, and welcome.
Many thanks, Tania. The pleasure is mine, and it's really great seeing you again and connecting with you. Due to the current situation with COVID-19, it's a little bit less that we have a chance for the personal meetings, which I really enjoyed all the time, but it's also great connecting on video. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you. And I'm just so excited to introduce you to the rest of our community. So as we kick off our quick chat today, would you mind telling everyone a little bit about yourself and your values?
Yes, absolutely. And so basically my background is 15 years being in the express logistics supply chain business at DHL. And I moved on after that time, after my studies to SAP. And I started setting up shared services, defining all the back office processes, including procure to pay, which was always my favorite process, to bring it in shared services. And I continued basically building up a kind of strategic in-house consulting organization for SAP, integrating large acquisitions, and later on I became the chief procurement officer. And this was really back in 2011, my time when I really started falling in love with procurement. I continued that role for a little bit more than 4 years and was very lucky that we acquired at SAP Ariba, Fieldglass, Concur, all the market leaders in the cloud for source to pay. And then later on I moved on as chief operating officer to Ariba. I joined one of the acquisitions, integrated it with Fieldglass and Concur later on, and became the chief digital officer in the cloud business group. And finally, I decided to move on. My next chapter was Celonis, market leader for process mining, process analytics. And I did this for about 1 year before I now joined August 1st, so not so long ago, Boston Consulting Group, BCG. And it's really amazing being partner here and helping driving digital transformations for procurement. You asked me about my values, Tania, and I think values are very important. And for me, I would name 4 values. Number 1 is integrity. This is absolutely a must. The second one is trust, respect for all people, everyone you're collaborating with. And finally, it is innovation, what I see as important as a value as well.
Well, luckily we invited you to talk about innovation, which of course is what you're known for worldwide. And how exciting that you're now a partner at BCG and people can actually access all your knowledge. So that's great news for everyone. But why don't you tell us, Marcell, why do you think that driving innovation is important?
I think currently we see on the global trends, what's happening right now, and let me bring back COVID-19 as an example. We have all seen how important supply chains are, what a supply chain interruption can mean, what procurement's role is, and how important it is. Look at the hand sanitizers which were out, look at the face mask we are all supposed to wear outside, and I think these are great examples, but there's much more. Also, if an entire area, like the Hubei area, this is the area around the city Wuhan, where the coronavirus started, if an entire industrial area is going down, how do you overcome the challenges and secure your business, that your supply chain is not getting disrupted. And that's really something where we see how important procurement is right now, and supply chain. It is on the top of the agenda of every CEO right now. And therefore, I think procurement is at a kind of inflection point. I know this is out since 10, probably 15 years already. What's the future of procurement, the strategic importance, and all of that. We have seen how important procurement is. And I think that's definitely also where we are now, at the point where procurement will step up, will continue to move on to a more value-generating function. The strategic elements every procurement function of the future will deliver, and for me there are 4 core elements in it. Number 1 is driving supplier innovations. We are now doing this video. I'm using even 2 of my iPhones to do the recording, to be secure with that. Isn't it a great innovation what Steve Jobs developed? And Tim Cook was the chief supply chain officer overseeing procurement. He invented and developed with the supplier together the Gorilla Glass. This is one key element of why the smartphone is so successful. And that's really where you can see there are much more examples, by the way. Automotive industry, the carbon ceramic brakes, what you have, and tons of innovations driven by suppliers. That's really an element procurement needs to focus on. Another one is we have seen risk management. Risk management is absolutely key because people see what it means if you're no longer getting your supplies you need for your production, for your manufacturing. So therefore, that's number 2. Number 3 for me is ensuring that you have a resilient supply chain, and procurement really can contribute to that, to manage the right suppliers in the right way, to coordinate with logistics and everything what is needed. And finally, we all know about how important sustainability is, and therefore I would add this as number 4, because consumers want to know what is in the products they are buying. So therefore, you need to take care of that. And by the way, I'm personally absolutely believe we need to take care of our planet. We only have one. And therefore, sustainability is also something I personally really like to see, that more and more focus is on that topic too.
Oh, thank you for those great 4 points. It's so handy and a great reference point for us all. I guess when you're working in a large company, Marcell, it's sometimes difficult to know how to get started with innovation. I mean, I'm sharing with our community saying you may not be able to change the world, but you can change your category. So, you know, within our own sphere of influence, we can drive change. But do you have some tips for how our community could get started with innovation?
I think number 1 is you really need to come up with a vision. What do you want to do with your procurement organization? So I start on a high level, and I'm not saying this just because everyone says you need to have a vision. I really mean it. It needs to be integrated with your company's vision and the strategy you derive from that. And procurement plays a vital role in that. And I think after that, you really need to see and define how can you really transition into the new world in procurement? How can you become value generating, more strategic? I think on the one side, we will see operational, tactical tasks are getting more and more automated. We see a big bunch of software solutions providers, the suite providers, but as well best of breed providers. And I think all are working basically on the same stuff. They automate more and more activities. Machine learning comes in, artificial intelligence, and really the next level of task gets basically done by machines. So basically procurement needs now to think about, it's no longer just driving operational tasks and focusing here on what we were known in the past for, really processing everything, ensuring compliance, and also securing the supply chain. It is now really to change and think about what is your future organization and how can you implement that? And this is why I believe it is absolutely important. And you start basically in a 3 steps approach. Number 1 is define your end-to-end stakeholder-centric process. Stakeholders includes lines of businesses, the suppliers, but all the employees. And the next step is you need to have the right structure, the organization in place to make this happen. And finally, select the right IT systems And these are the three core elements. But let's not forget the people. If you fail with the change management, you might have a beautiful process, organization, and systems. But if the people are not buying into that, therefore start with the vision. Your adoption might not be as great. I've seen this by myself. So therefore, change management is absolutely key, and that you help to develop and train your people.
Yeah, and it's so often, overlooked, isn't it, with these major tech implementations, and that's something we've been talking about a lot this year, is actually getting the ROI on your technology. And I really do hope all our community are out there putting in their proposals and their business cases for investment in technology, because now is the time. The spotlight is on procurement and supply chain. Such a great time to really prove that business case, because we've seen the damage that can be done by not having visibility and able to be agile. So thank you for those wonderful points, Marcell. And before we wrap up our conversation today, any final thoughts or inspiration for our listeners?
Tania, first of all, many thanks for having me. And for all the listeners, let's not wait. Get ready now. And procurement has a beautiful future. Why do you want to wait? Transform your procurement organization. I'm pretty sure you can really contribute significantly to the value contribution of your business. So let's get started now. Thank you very much.
Let's get started. Brilliant. Thank you so much, Marcell. And I look forward to seeing you very soon when we can meet again.
Thanks, Tania. Thanks for having me, and goodbye.
Bye.